close your eyes. Breathe slowly. Tonight I'll take you back, far back, to a world that once pulsed gently beneath the hot sun and endless stars. A world that still whispers beneath the sand. Welcome to ancient Egypt. The air is warm tonight, the kind of warm that wraps around you like a soft linen cloth, not too heavy, not too light. The sky glows a deep purple as the sun sinks slowly behind the far dunes. The Nile breathes its ancient rhythm, flowing steadily, never in a rush. You can hear the soft lapping of water against the wooden boats tied gently to the shore. In the distance, you see flickering lamps, their tiny flames dancing in the twilight breeze. This is Wasit, what we call Thebes now, one of Egypt's great cities. The stone temples rise like silent giants, watching over the people as they prepare for the night. You are here, among them, in a time long before the world we know. This is a world of balance, of gods who watch closely, of people who live gently beside the river that gives them life. Our story begins in a small house near the edge of the city. The house belongs to a young couple, Nefru and Hamet. They are simple people, like many others here. She weaves linen from the softest flax, her fingers swift and careful. He shapes pottery, spinning the wet clay with strong, steady hands. Tonight, after a long day's work, they sit together under a small canopy outside their home. A simple meal of bread, dates, and honey sits between them. The sweet scent of lotus flowers drifts through the air, carried by the quiet breeze. The stars above them blink into life, one by one. Nefru smiles as she leans against Hamet, her head resting on his shoulder. The sky looks like 1,000 tiny lamps, she whispers. He smiles too, his hand gently covering hers. There is no hurry here, no loud voices, no restless machines, no glowing screens. Only the soft hum of crickets, the distant splash of a fish jumping in the Nile, and the low murmur of priests singing evening prayers at the temple of Amun. Not far from their home, in the grand temple, priests move like shadows, their white linen robes whispering as they walk. They light incense, the smoke curling upward in thin, lazy spirals. The gods are being honored. Amun, Hathor, Isis, Osiris. Each god watches over part of life, and the people trust them deeply. Hathor, goddess of love and joy, smiles from her tall statue. She is always generous to young lovers. And tonight, as the incense drifts toward the heavens, Nefru silently offers a tiny prayer to her. She places a small piece of honeycomb on the altar in their home, a sweet offering for sweet wishes. She and Hamet have been hoping for a child, not because anyone demands it, but because life feels fuller when shared. In Egypt, children are seen as gifts, not burdens. And so each evening, after their quiet meal,
take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And let me know in the comments where you're turning in from and what time it is for you. It's always fascinating to see where my listeners are. It inspires me to keep creating beautiful stories. The soft flicker of the oil lamp slowly fades as Nefru and Hamet drift deeper into sleep. Outside, the desert cool settles quietly over the land, wrapping Waset in its calm embrace. Even the Nile seems to hold its breath for a while, its gentle flow, steady but silent. In her dreams, Nefru walks barefoot along the riverbank. The moonlight shines silver on the water, casting a soft glow across the reeds. She feels the cool earth under her feet, hears the distant calls of night birds. In this dream world, everything feels lighter, softer. Ahead of her, a tall figure waits, a woman, glowing softly, dressed in flowing white linen that dances like mist in the breeze. Around her neck hangs a wide collar of bright turquoise and gold. On her head, a simple crown with two curved horns and a shining sun disk between them. It is Hathor. Her voice, when she speaks, is like the music of a harp, calm and smooth. You are patient, child, and patience blooms into gifts when the time is right. Nefru tries to speak, but no words leave her lips. Hathor simply smiles. Love is like the river. It flows, sometimes faster, sometimes slow, but always, always moving. Trust the current. The goddess reaches out, gently placing her hand over Nefru's heart. A warmth spreads through her, not hot, but comforting, like sunlight through a thin curtain. Rest now. Tomorrow brings its own gifts. The dream fades, and slowly Nefru returns to the gentle rhythm of sleep, her breathing soft and even. Morning arrives quietly. A pale pink sky opens above the city as the first birds stretch their wings. The sounds of the marketplace, still distant, begin to stir. The world is waking. Inside the house, Comet is already up, his strong hands shaping clay on his wheel even before the sun fully rises. The wet clay spins between his fingers, smooth and alive, ready to take whatever form he chooses. She watches him from the doorway, a quiet smile on her lips. You rise before the sun now, she teases softly. Comet chuckles, not looking up from his work. The pot doesn't wait, and neither does the market, he says, shaping a wide bowl with careful pressure. She steps inside, running her fingers gently along his arm. You work with such care, as if each pot will hold something precious. He finally looks up, his dark eyes soft. Maybe one will, he says quietly. They share a look, a quiet, unspoken hope passing between them. The dream still lingers in Nefru's heart, its warmth steady like the morning light. Later that day, as the sun climbs higher, they walk together toward the temple. The grand stone columns rise above them, carved with the stories of gods and kings. The cool shade inside is filled with the faint scent of incense and soft chanting. They are not alone here. Other couples come too, offering small gifts, whispering private prayers. A young priestess stands near the altar of Hathor, her hands gently arranging fresh lotus blossoms into a clay jar. Nefru steps forward, placing a small basket of honey cakes on the offering table. She closes her eyes for a moment, silently repeating Hathor's words from her dream. Trust the current. The priestess watches her with kind eyes. May Hathor bless your house, she says softly. As they leave the temple, the sun greets them warmly. The city is alive now. Merchants call out, offering fish, linen, perfumes, and spices.
Children run through the narrow streets, laughing and chasing one another. Life here is full, but not hurried. Every day holds its own rhythm. The gods walk quietly among them, and the people honor them in simple, steady ways. That evening, as they sit once again under their small canopy, Comet breaks a piece of bread, handing half to Nefru. Tomorrow the traders from Nubia arrive. Maybe I'll sell enough to buy that new linen you liked. She smiles, resting her head against his shoulder. Or perhaps we save for the cradle instead. He wraps his arm around her gently. Yes, he whispers, perhaps we do. The stars blink softly above them. The warm night air wraps around their little home, and once again the Nile flows, steady, patient, full of quiet promises. And so, as sleep pulls you deeper, listen to the soft hum of ancient Egypt, the gentle wind through the reeds, the steady breath of the river, the soft songs of the temple. Rest now. We will return again tomorrow as Nefru and Comet's journey.
The sky is still cool and gray as the first hints of morning stretch across the horizon. The city stirs gently, like someone waking from a long, peaceful nap. Soft voices carry on the breeze, merchants calling out as they prepare their stalls, the quiet splash of water as fishermen check their nets. Nefru and Comet rise with the sun. Today is a special day. The Nubian traders are coming, and with them, goods from far beyond the southern borders of Egypt. Spices, rare stones, fragrant oils, even brightly colored feathers from birds few have ever seen. Comet carefully wraps his best pots in woven cloth. These are his finest work, wide, balanced bowls with smooth curves and faint carvings along the sides. Some show lotus flowers, others display simple, elegant lines. He hopes today will bring good sales. As they step outside, the air smells sweet and earthy. The Nile glistens, reflecting soft pink and gold as the sun rises higher. The river always seems to glow at this hour, like a giant ribbon of light cutting through the land. They walk hand in hand toward the market square, their sandals soft against the dusty path. Nefru carries a small pouch of dates, their sweet scent filling the air around them. By the time they reach the market, the square is buzzing with quiet excitement. Wooden stalls line the wide street, their colorful cloth canopies flapping gently in the morning breeze. The Nubian traders have already arrived. Their boats, long and narrow, rest beside the riverbank, loaded with baskets and jars. The traders themselves wear brightly patterned garments, their dark skin gleaming under the rising sun. Around their necks hang beads of turquoise, amber, and polished bone. Comet finds his usual spot beneath a wide fig tree and begins carefully placing his pottery on a simple wooden table. He arranges them thoughtfully, large pieces in the center, smaller ones along the edges, each catching the morning light just right. Nefru watches as curious buyers approach. She enjoys seeing how people's faces light up when they run their fingers along the smooth, cool surfaces of Comet's work. Some buyers softly tap the sides, listening for the clear ringing sound that tells them the pot is well made. Not far from them, a group of musicians begin playing gentle melodies on small harps and flutes. The sound floats through the air, adding to the market's warm, peaceful rhythm. Children chase one another between stalls, laughing and weaving around the busy adults. A Nubian trader approaches Comet's table, studying the pottery with sharp, appreciative eyes. His voice is deep but friendly.
Your hands are steady, Potter. The clay listens well to you. Comet bows his head slightly, smiling. The clay speaks if you learn how to listen to it, he replies. The trader lifts one of the larger bowls, turning it slowly in his hands. I have a merchant in Kerma who would pay well for work like this. Would you trade for amber? Amber, a rare gift from the south, warm like frozen sunlight, often used in jewelry or charms. Comet glances at Nefru, who nods softly. They complete the trade, one bowl for a string of smooth amber beads. Comet hands the beads to Nefru, watching her fingers run over the polished surface. They glow softly in the light, like drops of honey. As the morning turns to afternoon, the market hums with quiet energy. Stories are shared, deals are made. The scent of roasting fish mixes with the sweet perfume of myrrh burning nearby. While Comet speaks with another buyer, Nefru steps toward a small stall run by an elderly Nubian woman. The old woman's table is covered in tiny clay figurines, little animals, gods, and symbols of protection. Looking for something special, young one? The woman asks gently. Nefru smiles. Perhaps something for good fortune, maybe. The woman picks up a small carved image of Tauret, the goddess shaped like a hippo, protector of childbirth. She hands it to Nefru. She watches over mothers and children, a good friend to keep close. Nefru runs her fingers over the tiny figure. The round belly and kind face make her heart flutter. She is perfect, Nefru whispers. They exchange a few coins, and Nefru carefully tucks the small goddess into the fold of her linen robe. As the sun begins its slow journey toward the horizon, the market starts to thin. The heavy heat of midday softens into a golden warmth, and the shadows grow longer. Comet gathers the few remaining pots and wraps them carefully. The amber beads sway gently around Nefru's neck, catching the fading sunlight. They walk back through the city together, following the path along the river. They pass fields of ripening barley swaying softly in the breeze. Farmers hum low songs as they check the sturdy green stalks. The air smells of earth and water, rich, full, alive. When they finally reach their little home, the sky has turned a soft shade of violet. Comet lights the oil lamp inside, while Nefru prepares a simple stew of lentils and herbs. The small figure of Tauret now rests beside the altar, next to the offering bowl for Hathora. As they sit down to eat,
the cool night settles deeper as the oil lamp flickers gently beside their bed. Nefru and Comet lie close, their breathing slow, the weight of the day slipping away. Outside, the faint chirp of crickets echoes softly through the warm air. Sleep pulls them into its quiet embrace once again. In her dream, Nefru stands beneath a great sycamore tree. Its wide branches stretch far and high, the leaves softly rustling in the warm breeze. The ground is soft beneath her feet, covered in fallen leaves like little pieces of gold. From between the branches, Hathor appears again, her glowing form as calm and gentle as before. You walk with patience, child. Hathor's voice flows like water. Your heart is strong, and your time will come. Nefru gazes up at the goddess, the dream so vivid it feels like waking life. How will I know? She asks softly. Hathor smiles, her eyes full of warmth. The river never asks where it leads. It flows. So will your journey. Trust it.
The goddess reaches out and lightly touches Nefru's cheek with her cool fingertips. Then, like a faint breeze, she fades back into the shimmering leaves. The dream slowly dissolves, and Nefru drifts deeper into sleep. The morning arrives with the soft call of birds outside the window. The sky glows pink, the first rays of sunlight reaching over the quiet city. Nefru opens her eyes slowly, feeling a warmth in her chest, not from the sun, but from the lingering memory of the dream. She turns to Comet, who is already awake, lying beside her, staring at the ceiling, lost in his own quiet thoughts. "Did you dream?" she asks softly. He smiles, turning his head toward her. "Only of the river," he says. "Always the river." They rise together, their movements slow and peaceful. Another day awaits, full of small tasks, familiar faces, and quiet hopes. Outside, the city is beginning to stir. The streets fill slowly with the soft sounds of merchants setting up their stalls, children running and laughing, and women carrying baskets of bread and fruit toward the market. Comet carries his wrapped pots toward the kiln, while Nefru prepares her loom, the linen threads stretched tight, ready to be woven into fine cloth. She hums softly as her fingers move, the rhythm familiar, comforting. Every now and then, she glances toward the small figure of Taweret resting on the altar. The tiny goddess seems to smile back at her. By midday, the sun hangs high in the sky, casting long shadows across the city walls. The air grows heavy and warm, but life continues at its steady pace. As Nefru gathers her finished cloth, she notices an old woman watching her from across the courtyard, a midwife, known in the neighborhood for her wisdom and gentle hands. The woman smiles and approaches slowly. "Your weaving is strong," she says kindly. "Strong hands often make strong children." Nefru blushes softly, lowering her eyes. "We hope," she says quietly. The midwife lays a gentle hand on Nefru's shoulder. "Hathor watches over you," she whispers. "The gods do not forget." With that, the woman turns and walks away, her bare feet quiet against the smooth stone. That evening, as the sun sinks lower behind the distant dunes, Comet returns from the kiln carrying 2 freshly fired pots. The clay glow faintly in the fading light, their surfaces smooth and perfect. Nefru admires them as he places them on the table. "They are beautiful," she says softly. He shrugs with a small smile. "They are strong, like you." She reaches across the table, her fingers tracing the smooth curve of the nearest pot. "Like us," she whispers. Comet takes her hand gently, squeezing it. "Yes," he agrees. "Like us." As darkness settles once again, they sit together outside under the wide sky. The stars blink gently, spreading like tiny lamps across the heavens. The moon hangs low, casting a silver glow on the quiet Nile. The cool breeze carries with it the faint scent of lotus blossoms and distant smoke from temple incense. Somewhere far off, priests chant their evening prayers, their voices rising and falling like a soft lullaby carried on the wind. The world breathes around them, slow, steady, ancient. And as you too drift into sleep, feel the warm air on your skin and hear the distant hum of life around you, and know that here, in this peaceful place, all is calm. The story of Nefru and Comet continues, and tomorrow we will return again.
The night grows deeper. The city of Wasit falls into a quiet slumber, wrapped in the soft embrace of warm desert air. The Nile glides on in its gentle rhythm, a black ribbon of liquid light beneath the moon. Inside their small home, Nefru and Comet sleep peacefully. The oil lamp flickers softly, casting long, thin shadows on the walls. Outside, the low hum of distant frogs singing in the marshes mixes with the occasional whisper of wind through the palm trees. All is still. But somewhere in the world of dreams, Nefru walks once more. This time, the world around her feels different, lighter, softer, as if she's floating rather than walking. She finds herself standing at the edge of a great field. The tall green stalks of barley sway gently in the breeze, rustling softly like the whispering voices of old friends. The same gentle figure waits for her, Hathor. The goddess smiles as Nefru approaches. "You are learning to listen," Hathor says. Nefru bows her head. "I try," she answers softly. The goddess gestures toward the barley field. "Life grows where patience lives," she says. "Like the grain, love must be tended, but not rushed. Trust your roots, child. They run deep." As she speaks, small white birds rise from the field, circling gently above them before flying into the night sky. Their wings catch the moonlight, glowing like tiny silver petals floating upward. Hathor's voice grows softer. "Your time draws near." And as gently as the dream began, it fades, leaving Nefru cradled once more in deep, peaceful sleep. Morning arrives slowly. The first rays of sunlight slip quietly through the doorway, painting soft golden stripes across the floor. The air carries the fresh scent of damp earth and morning flowers, mixed with the faint sweetness of dates ripening on the trees. Comet rises first, as always. His strong hands quietly prepare a small morning meal: bread, figs, and cool water drawn from the jar. Nefru stirs soon after, sitting up slowly, her dark hair falling gently over her shoulders. She smiles sleepily. "I dreamed again," she whispers. Comet places a cup of water into her hands and sits beside her. "The goddess still visits you?" Nefru nods. She speaks of patience, of roots and growing things, of trust. Comet reaches out and gently brushes a strand of hair from her face. "Then we trust," he says softly. They sit together for a moment, watching the morning light stretch further into the room, warming the stone floor beneath their feet. Later that day, the market is quieter. The Nubian traders have sailed south again, their boats slowly drifting away down the calm Nile. The streets feel calmer without their colorful stalls and bright voices, though a few merchants remain, quietly selling their simple goods. Nefru spends her afternoon near the temple, weaving linen under the shade of a tall palm. Other women sit nearby, their hands busy with baskets of reeds, threads, and flowers. They chat softly as they work, small stories, bits of news, gentle laughter. One of the older women glances over at Nefru. "You seem lighter today, child," she says kindly. "Your eyes are bright." Nefru smiles shyly. "Perhaps. I feel full, as if the air itself is carrying me." The woman nods knowingly. Sometimes the heart knows before the mind does.
The other women murmur in quiet agreement, their hands never stopping their work. The soft rhythm of weaving continues, like the slow beat of a distant drum. When the sun finally dips low behind the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple, Nefru and Kamet return home together. They eat their simple evening meal beneath the wide sky, their fingers brushing gently as they share the warm bread and sweet honey. As the stars bloom one by one above them, Kamet gazes upward, his voice soft and steady. "Do you think the gods truly watch us?" Nefru leans into him, her head resting on his shoulder. "I believe they listen," she whispers, "and sometimes they speak." The cool night air wraps around them like a soft blanket. The distant temple bells chime gently, calling the priests to their quiet evening prayers. The Nile hums its steady song in the darkness. The world feels still, balanced, waiting. And as your own breathing slows, feel the calm of ancient Egypt settle around you, the stars above, the steady rhythm of life below. All is peaceful. Sleep now, and tomorrow we will return once more to continue Nefru and Kamet's gentle journey.
The night passes softly, and as the first hints of dawn touch the sky, the world stirs once again. Gentle light spills slowly across the horizon, washing over the stone walls of Waset, warming the cool desert air. Inside their small home, Nefru wakes slowly. She blinks, letting the soft morning light fill her eyes. Kamet lies beside her, still breathing deeply, lost in his quiet dreams. For a moment, she simply watches him, the rise and fall of his chest, the peaceful curve of his brow, the small lines that appear when he smiles. She feels the warmth of gratitude settle inside her, for him, for their simple life, for the quiet hope that has begun to grow in her heart. Quietly, she slips from the bed, moving softly across the cool stone floor. The tiny figure of Taweret catches the first light of day, its round belly glowing faintly in the golden beam. Nefru places a hand gently over her own stomach, not yet knowing, but feeling something new, something alive. A soft knock at the door draws her attention. It's early for visitors. She opens it to find the midwife standing there, her face lined with age, but her eyes kind and sharp. "Good morning, child," the woman greets softly. "I was walking and thought of you." Nefru steps aside, welcoming her in. The midwife moves slowly, settling onto a low stool by the table. "You've been praying often, and I see the goddess has heard you." Nefru's heart flutters. "I feel something, but I don't know for certain." The midwife smiles, her voice warm and steady. "Let us see, then." With careful hands, she examines Nefru, her touch gentle but knowing. A few moments pass in quiet focus. Then the woman leans back, her smile wider now. The seed has taken root. You carry new life. Nefru's breath catches. Tears well softly in her eyes, not from fear, but from the quiet, overwhelming joy that rushes through her. "Thank you," she whispers. The midwife pats her hand. "Thank the goddess, and rest. The journey has just begun." When Comet awakens, Nefru is waiting for him, her face glowing softly in the morning light. She reaches for his hand and places it gently on her belly. "Comet, we are no longer just two." His eyes widen. For a moment he simply stares, his hand resting softly on her. Then his lips curve into a deep, warm smile. "You carry our child," he whispers. Nefru nods, the tears now glistening freely in her eyes. Comet wraps his arms around her, pulling her close. They sit there in silence, holding each other, feeling the weight and wonder of the moment settle into their hearts. As the day unfolds, the news quietly spreads among the women of the neighborhood. Small gifts begin to appear at Nefru's door. Tiny baskets of dates, woven charms for protection, small jars of sweet oil. The community smiles with her, sharing her quiet joy. At the temple, Nefru offers extra honey cakes at Hathor's altar. She bows her head, whispering words of gratitude into the sweet-scented air. The priestess smiles as she watches. The goddess walks close with you now. May her light guide you. The weeks that follow pass gently. The days grow warmer as the season shifts. The fields outside the city turn lush and green as the Nile prepares to rise again, bringing its rich black silt to the land. Every evening, as the sun melts into the horizon, Comet and Nefru sit together beneath their small canopy, watching the stars blink softly to life. Comet often rests his hand lightly over her growing belly, feeling the gentle warmth beneath his palm. "Do you think it will be a boy or a girl?" he asks one evening. Nefru smiles, her head resting against his shoulder. "It will be ours. That is enough." He kisses the top of her head softly, and together they watch the night sky stretch endlessly above them, full of quiet promises.
And as you too close your eyes, let the calm of ancient Egypt carry you. Feel the gentle breath of the Nile, the soft rustle of palm leaves, the steady hum of a world in perfect rhythm. Sleep peacefully now. Tomorrow we return again to follow Nefru and Kemet's journey.
The days stretch gently into summer. The air grows heavy with warmth, and the wide Nile hums its ancient tune, rising slowly, patiently, as it has for countless years. Everywhere, the people of Waset watch the water carefully, measuring its slow, steady climb. The annual flood is coming, the lifeblood of Egypt. With it comes rich black silt that will feed the fields for the next harvest. The farmers smile as the river swells, knowing that soon the land will drink deeply. In their small home, Nefru rests more often now. The soft curve of her belly grows fuller each day, a gentle, visible reminder of the life growing quietly inside her. One warm afternoon, as the sun hangs high and heavy, Kemet gently fans Nefru while she sits beneath their canopy, her feet soaking in a cool basin of water. The breeze carries with it the sweet scent of lotus and damp earth. "You needn't fuss over me so," Nefru says softly, though a small smile plays on her lips. Kemet grins. "I fuss because I can. The potter shapes not only clay, but his home." She laughs quietly, her hand resting lightly over her belly. "Well then, my potter, this home is quite content." The laughter fades into a peaceful silence. The world around them moves slowly, like the river itself, never rushing, never still. Later that evening, the sky glows orange as the sun begins its descent behind the distant hills. The temple bells chime softly in the distance, calling the priests to evening prayers. The scent of incense drifts through the streets as smoke curls lazily into the warm air. Kemet helps Nefru inside, settling her onto their low bed. The oil lamp flickers gently in the corner, casting a soft glow across the smooth stone walls. As they lie together beneath the light cover, Nefru stares up at the ceiling, her voice no louder than a whisper. "Do you ever wonder who this child will become?" Comet turns his head, watching her face in the soft light. "Every day," he replies. "I wonder who they'll be, what they'll see, what they will build. But whoever they are, they will be loved." Nefru smiles, reaching for his hand. Their fingers intertwine as the quiet of the night wraps around them. The days continue, the river rising higher, spreading out into the fields. The city hums with the soft rhythm of preparation. Men strengthen the banks, women collect bundles of reeds. Children chase each other through the shallows, their laughter mixing with the splash of cool water. Each evening, after their small meal, Comet and Nefru walk slowly to the edge of the water, watching the sun sink into the liquid horizon. The world glows gold and pink, the reflection stretching far into the distance. On one such evening, as they walk hand in hand, Nefru pauses suddenly. She places her free hand on her belly and smiles. "What is it?" Comet asks gently. Her smile widens. "It moved," she whispers. "For the first time." Comet's eyes light up. He kneels beside her, pressing his ears softly against her belly as if listening to the tiny life within. "It moves already?" he whispers with wonder. "It moves," she repeats, her voice full of quiet awe. "Like the river inside me." They stand there together, wrapped in the cool evening breeze, the world around them fading into gentle darkness. The stars blink softly above, the Nile whispers its endless song, and in that moment, the future feels close, close enough to touch. And as you too drift into sleep, feel the gentle rhythm of life carrying you. The slow rising of the Nile, the soft beat of a tiny heart beginning its journey. Everything moves with quiet purpose. Rest now, and tomorrow we will return again to walk beside Nefru and Comet. The days stretch gently into summer. The air grows heavy with warmth, and the wide Nile hums its ancient tune, rising slowly, patiently, as it has for countless years. Everywhere, the people of Waset watch the water carefully, measuring its slow, steady climb. The annual flood is coming, the lifeblood of Egypt. With it comes rich black silt that will feed the fields for the next harvest. The farmers smile as the river swells, knowing that soon the land will drink deeply. In their small home, Nefru rests more often now. The soft curve of her belly grows fuller each day, a gentle, visible reminder of the life growing quietly inside her. One warm afternoon, as the sun hangs high and heavy, Comet gently fans Nefru while she sits beneath their canopy, her feet soaking in a cool basin of water. The breeze carries with it the sweet scent of lotus and damp earth. "You needn't fuss over me so," Nefru says softly, though a small smile plays on her lips. Comet grins. "I fuss because I can. The potter shapes not only clay, but his home." She laughs quietly, her hand resting lightly over her belly. "Well then, my potter, this home is quite content." The laughter fades into a peaceful silence. The world around them moves slowly, like the river itself, never rushing, never still. Later that evening, the sky glows orange as the sun begins its descent behind the distant hills. The temple bells chime softly in the distance, calling the priests to evening prayers. The scent of incense drifts through the streets as smoke curls lazily into the warm air. Comet helps Nefru inside, settling her onto their low bed. The oil lamp flickers gently in the corner, casting a soft glow across the smooth stone walls. As they lie together beneath the light cover, Nefru stares up at the ceiling, her voice no louder than a whisper. "Do you ever wonder who this child will become?" Comet turns his head, watching her face in the soft light. "Every day," he replies. "I wonder who they'll be, what they'll see, what they will build. But whoever they are, they will be loved." Nefru smiles, reaching for his hand. Their fingers intertwine as the quiet of the night wraps around them. The days continue, the river rising higher, spreading out into the fields. The city hums with the soft rhythm of preparation. Men strengthen the banks, women collect bundles of reeds. Children chase each other through the shallows, their laughter mixing with the splash of cool water. Each evening, after their small meal, Comet and Nefru walk slowly to the edge of the water, watching the sun sink into the liquid horizon. The world glows gold and pink, the reflection stretching far into the distance. On one such evening, as they walk hand in hand, Nefru pauses suddenly. She places her free hand on her belly and smiles. "What is it?" Comet asks gently. Her smile widens. "It moved," she whispers. "For the first time." Comet's eyes light up. He kneels beside her, pressing his ears softly against her belly as if listening to the tiny life within. "It moves already?" he whispers with wonder. "It moves," she repeats, her voice full of quiet awe. "Like the river inside me." They stand there together, wrapped in the cool evening breeze, the world around them fading into gentle darkness. The stars blink softly above, the Nile whispers its endless song, and in that moment, the future feels close, close enough to touch. And as you too drift into sleep, feel the gentle rhythm of life carrying you. The slow rising of the Nile, the soft beat of a tiny heart beginning its journey. Everything moves with quiet purpose. Rest now, and tomorrow we will return again to walk beside Nefru and Comet. The Nile continues its slow rise, spreading like a soft black blanket across the fields. The water glistens beneath the morning sun, reflecting a sky painted pale blue and streaked with the faintest white clouds. The farmers wade knee-deep, planting new seeds into the rich, wet earth. The promise of the next harvest grows quietly beneath the surface. In the city, life moves gently forward. Markets fill with the soft hum of voices, the clink of copper coins, and the cheerful calls of merchants. The scent of roasting fish mixes with the sweetness of dates and figs. But for Nefru and Kemet, their world feels smaller now, wrapped around the quiet, steady rhythm of new life growing within her. This morning, they walk slowly through the temple courtyard, shaded beneath towering columns carved with ancient stories. The soft scent of burning myrrh floats on the breeze. The gods watch silently from their tall stone forms, Osiris with his green skin, Isis with her gentle wings, Hathor with her warm, kind smile. They pause before Hathor's altar. Nefru places a small basket of honey cakes and sweet dates upon the offering table. She lowers her head, whispering words that only the goddess can hear. Kemet stands beside her, his hand resting gently on her back. The priestess nearby watches them with kind eyes, nodding softly in silent approval. When Nefru lifts her gaze, she feels a quiet strength rising in her chest, as if the goddess had gently placed her hand there once again. As they leave the temple, an old friend calls to them beneath a wide fig tree. It is Menina, Kemet's childhood friend, a man with a wide smile and eyes that always seem to shine with quiet mischief. "I hear your home will soon grow louder," Menina says, his voice warm. Kemet chuckles. "The gods have been generous." Menina glances at Nefru and bows his head slightly. And the mother-to-be glows brighter than the morning sun. Nefru laughs softly, waving a hand. "You flattered too easily, Menina." "It is not flattery," he says with a grin. "It is truth." They sit for a while beneath the tree, sharing cool water and light conversation. The world feels easy here, simple, gentle. As they talk, the temple bells chime softly in the distance. High above, the wide wings of an ibis sweep gracefully through the sky, circling once before disappearing beyond the rooftops. That evening, as the sun drips slowly behind the far dunes, the sky turns shades of rose and violet. The cool night air breathes gently through their open doorway as Nefru rests on the low bed. Kemet sits nearby, carefully shaping a small jar of wet clay on his wheel. His hands move with practiced ease, the clay spinning smoothly beneath his fingers. "I've been thinking," he says softly. "About what?" He smiles, not looking up from the spinning clay. "About what kind of father I want to be." She listens quietly, watching the gentle rhythm of his hands. "I want our child to grow strong, but not only in body. I want them to know kindness, patience, to feel the joy of simple things." Nefru's eyes soften. "You already give them that, every day." He finally looks up, the newly shaped jar gleaming softly in the lamplight. "Perhaps," he whispers, setting the jar aside. "But there is still much to learn." She reaches for his hand, their fingers locking together gently. "We will learn together," she says. The stars gather above, blinking softly like quiet watchers. The Nile's whisper drifts through the open window. Somewhere in the distance, a single drum beats slowly, a soft, steady heartbeat echoing through the night. The world feels still, full, safe. And as your own eyes grow heavy, feel the softness of this world around you. The warm air, the gentle breeze, the endless rhythm of life flowing like the Nile. Sleep now. Tomorrow we return once again to walk beside Nefru and Kemet. The days roll forward like the Nile itself, steady, patient, unhurried. The city of Waset glows beneath the high summer sun. The floodwaters have begun to pull back now, retreating gently, leaving behind fields thick with dark, rich soil. Farmers walk through the damp earth barefoot, planting new rows of barley and wheat that will feed their people for months to come. Inside their small home, Nefru moves more carefully now. The weight of her belly is full, round and firm, as if the little one inside her presses gently against the edge of the world. She stands by the window, one hand resting on her stomach, watching the sunlight dance across the Nile's sparkling surface. The faint cries of distant birds float through the air, blending with the soft hum of life all around her. Hamet watches her from across the room. His eyes are calm, but full of wonder, as if seeing her for the first time each day. "You glow more every morning," he says softly. She turns to him, smiling. "I feel like the sun itself lives inside me now." He walks to her slowly, placing his hands gently over hers, resting on the curve of her belly. And soon we will see its face. The people of the neighborhood stop by often now. Some bring small offerings, beads for protection, charms for good fortune, sweet figs and warm bread. The women share quiet wisdom, stories passed down from mothers and grandmothers before them. One afternoon, as the air grows thick and still, the midwife visits again. She carries with her a small pouch of dried herbs tied with simple twine. "It won't be long now," she says, after examining Nefru with steady hands. "The child is strong, so are you." Nefru breathes deeply, the words wrapping around her like a soft blanket. "Rest when you can, and trust your body. It knows what to do." That night, a soft breeze stirs the curtains. The moon hangs low and full, casting silver ribbons across the floor. The steady croak of frogs echoes from the nearby reeds, mixing with the quiet rustle of palm leaves. Comet sits beside Nefru, his hand resting on her belly, feeling the faint movements within. "Do you feel ready?" he asks, his voice barely above a whisper. She closes her eyes, breathing slowly. "I think we are never fully ready," she says, smiling softly. "But I am not afraid." He kisses her forehead gently. "I will be with you, always." The tiny kicks beneath his hand make them both laugh quietly, their faces glowing in the soft lamplight. Morning arrives with a cool breeze, unusual for this time of year. The sky is pale and quiet, as if the world itself holds its breath. Nefru feels the first faint tightening deep inside her. It's not painful, not yet, but different, a quiet signal from her body, a whisper that the time is near. She doesn't speak of it right away. Instead, she moves slowly through her morning, letting Comet prepare the bread, smiling as he fumbles with the dough. "You are not a bad baker," she teases gently, "but the bread will know you are a potter." He laughs softly. "Clay is easier. It doesn't judge." The laughter melts into a comfortable silence. But inside, Nefru feels the quiet waves returning, gentle, steady, slowly growing stronger. As the day warms, the midwife arrives once again. She enters the home with calm, practiced steps, her eyes moving softly over Nefru. "You feel it now, don't you?" she asks kindly. Nefru nods, her voice steady. "It has begun." The midwife smiles, reaching for her hand. "Then we begin together." She turns to Comet and speaks gently. "Boil the water. Bring the herbs. Light more lamps." He moves quickly, but carefully, his hands steady even as his heart races. The small home fills with warm, flickering light, the soft scent of burning herbs, and the quiet breath of those preparing for life's greatest arrival. And as the night settles once again, feel the calm courage in Nefru's breath, the steady hands of Comet, the patient eyes of the midwife, and the ancient rhythm of life flowing on. Sleep gently now. Tomorrow we return as a new life draws closer to the world. Inside the small stone house, the air feels different now. Not heavy, not rushed, but full, like something ancient is unfolding behind quiet walls. The midwife moves with steady grace, her soft voice guiding Nefru through each rising wave. Outside, the city sleeps. The stars above shimmer calmly, as if watching. The Nile continues its slow hum, its breath steady and ancient. Comet stays close. He wipes Nefru's brow gently with a cool cloth. His hands tremble slightly, but his eyes remain strong. "You're doing well," he whispers. Nefru grips his hand as another wave rolls through her. It's stronger now, deeper, like a rhythm building towards something final. Yet even in her discomfort, she closes her eyes, feeling something ancient move through her body, like generations of women standing beside her, unseen but present. The midwife leans in, her voice calm, barely louder than the flickering lamps. "Your child is eager, the time is near." Sweat beads along Nefru's temple. She breathes deeply, feeling her body guiding itself without thought, a silent wisdom as old as the land itself. The small home grows warmer. The scent of burning myrrh drifts softly in the air, blending with the damp sweetness of fresh herbs. Shadows dance along the walls as the oil lamps burn steady. Comet never leaves her side. He speaks only in whispers, offering cool water to her lips, brushing damp strands of hair from her face. And Nefru, through the effort, draws strength from his presence. Outside the door, a quiet gathering begins. A few neighbors, soft-footed and respectful, wait in the darkened courtyard. They speak in hushed tones, offering silent prayers to Hathor, to Isis, to Taweret, protectors of mothers, guardians of new life. They know not to interfere, but their quiet presence is like a circle of warmth around the small home, like a net holding them all safely inside the care of the gods. Hours pass. Time softens here, no longer counted by the sun or moon, but by the slow, steady rise and fall of Nefru's breath. The midwife leans forward once more, her voice steady as stone. "It is time, my dear." One final surge, and then a shift. A sound fills the room, small at first, then clear. A soft cry, thin and new, echoes into the warm air. The midwife smiles wide. "A child of strength," she whispers. "You have done well." Comet's eyes fill with tears as he watches the tiny life placed gently onto Nefru's chest. The child's skin glows pink against the dim light, tiny fingers flexing open, searching. Nefru holds the child close, her voice barely a breath. "Welcome, little one." Comet rests his hand on both of them, his family. His heart full beyond words feels like it might burst. For a long moment the world around them fades into silence, as if even the gods are pausing to watch. Outside, the frogs continue their song along the Nile. A light breeze slips through the doorway, carrying the soft scent of wet earth and fresh life. The stars blink gently above, steady and patient. And in the small home, the child sleeps, safe, warm, and wrapped in a world of quiet love. Now, as you let your own breath slow, feel the warmth of this ancient world around you, a mother's strength, a father's wonder, a child's first breath beneath the calm Egyptian sky. Sleep peacefully, and tomorrow we will return, as Nefru and Comet step into this new chapter of life. The morning light gently stretches into the small home. Soft beams of gold pour through the open doorway, touching the stone walls like careful fingers. Nefru lies resting, her arms wrapped protectively around her newborn. The child's tiny chest rises and falls, each breath light as a whisper. The world outside hums gently, but here inside, time feels as if it has slowed to a warm, endless pause. Comet moves quietly, careful not to disturb them. He prepares a simple meal, dates soaked in honey, fresh bread still warm from the neighbors, and cool water drawn from the jar outside. The midwife hums softly as she gathers her herbs, her hands as steady as ever. "You both have done beautifully," she says softly before leaving. "The gods smile upon this house." Word of the birth spreads softly through the neighborhood. Neighbors pass by their home with quiet smiles and soft greetings. Small gifts are left outside their door, jars of oil, tiny woven charms, sweet bundles of figs, and dried flowers. Life continues, yet everything feels slightly changed, as though a new light now flickers gently inside their little home, never dimming, always warm. Later that day, under the shade of their small canopy, Comet holds his child for the first time without the careful hands of the midwife guiding him. The baby's eyes blink up at him, wide and curious. "You are strong," he whispers, "like your mother." Nefru smiles from her bed, watching them both. Her voice is soft, but full of warmth. "And patient, like your father." They sit together in the shade, listening to the sounds of the city around them, the soft clinking of pottery in the market, the murmur of voices drifting through open windows, the distant splash of children playing by the shrinking edges of the river. As evening approaches, they walk slowly to the riverbank, carrying the child wrapped gently in fine linen. The Nile glows beneath the setting sun, its smooth surface reflecting long streaks of orange and gold. Comet cups water in his hands, letting it trickle softly over the baby's feet. "A blessing from the river," he says, his voice quiet. Nefru whispers a small prayer. "May the Nile carry you always, little one. May your life flow strong and full." The child stirs softly in her arms, making tiny sounds as if answering back. The Nile hums on, ancient and endless. That night, after the baby is tucked safely into a small basket beside their bed, Comet lights a new oil lamp, one gifted by Manena earlier that day. The flame flickers gently, casting warm light across the room. They lie close together, the new parents breathing in quiet rhythm. The tiny sounds of their child, a soft, steady reminder of this new world they've stepped into. "Do you think they dream?" Comet asks softly, watching the small bundle rise and fall with each breath. Nefru closes her eyes. She asks, "Of what?" He whispers, "Of where they came from, or where they will go." She smiles gently, "Perhaps both." The cool night air carries distant temple songs through the open window, blending with the steady hum of crickets and the quiet ripple of the Nile outside. Another day has passed. A new life has begun. And as you drift deeper into your own sleep, feel the comfort of this ancient home, the steady rhythm of breath,
of water, of stars above, a family cradled in quiet love beneath the timeless Egyptian sky. Sleep peacefully. Tomorrow, we return again to walk beside them.
The soft light of dawn filters into their small home, and today feels different. The city stirs early, but not with its usual rhythm of work and trade. Today, there is quiet excitement in the air. It is the child's naming day. In ancient Egypt, a child's name is not given at birth. It waits, like a seed, until the parents feel ready, until the child's spirit shows itself to the world. For Nefru and Hamet, that day has come. Hamet gently lifts the baby from the woven basket where it sleeps. The child blinks up at him, eyes wide, fingers curling around the edge of the linen cloth wrapped snugly around its tiny body. "You are ready," Hamet whispers. Nefru stands nearby, smoothing the folds of her fresh linen dress. Her face glows softly, calm, but full of quiet joy. Together, they step outside into the warm morning air. The breeze carries with it the sweet scent of lotus and damp earth, and far off, temple bells ring softly as priests begin their morning prayers. Family and neighbors wait quietly beneath a large sycamore tree near the riverbank. The women carry woven baskets filled with small offerings: bread, fruit, flowers, beads. The men stand silently, nodding greetings as Hamet and Nefru approach. In the center of the gathering stands the priestess of Hathor, dressed in flowing white linen, her hands gently resting over a small stone altar. She smiles as the couple arrives. "The gods watch kindly this morning," she says softly. Nefru bows her head in respect, while Hamet places a small jar of honey on the altar, a gift for the goddess who has guided them so patiently through this journey. The priestess lifts her hands, her voice calm and melodic. "Child of the Nile, child of the stars, child of love. Today your name joins you to this world." The small gathering falls into silence. Only the hum of the river and the faint rustle of palm leaves fill the quiet space. Hamet speaks first, his voice strong but gentle. "We name you Amos, born of the moon, light in darkness, strength in stillness." Nefru's eyes glisten softly. "And may the gods bless your path. May you walk in balance always." The priestess steps forward, placing her hand lightly on the baby's head. "Amos, child of this land, may your heart be light, your days long, and your steps steady." The ceremony is simple. No great feast, no loud celebration, only quiet joy shared between friends, family, and the watching gods. Afterwards, as the sun climbs higher, the neighbors slowly drift back to their homes. The priestess offers one final blessing before departing. "You both walk well," she says to Nefru and Hamed. "This child will grow with your strength." Hamed bows his head, and with the gods' guidance. That afternoon, as the world warms under the bright sun, Nefru rests with little Amos tucked gently against her chest. The baby's breaths are steady, soft as feathers. Hamed sits nearby, shaping a new pot at his wheel. The steady spin soothing, his hands relaxed. "It feels different now," he says quietly, not looking up. Nefru watches him, her voice soft. "How so?" He smiles gently. "The house breathes with us. It feels full." Nefru nods for a moment, closing her eyes. It is full. Full of life. Outside, the Nile glistens beneath the afternoon sun, its quiet flow steady and sure. The city hums softly in the distance, and beneath the tall, watching sky, a small family sits, wrapped in gentle peace. And as your own breathing slows, feel the comfort of this new chapter, the quiet naming of a child, the warmth of love, the steady beat of an ancient world moving forward in perfect rhythm. Rest now. Tomorrow, we return once more to walk beside them.
The moons pass gently, one after another, as the seasons shift like soft waves along the river's edge. Amhos grows beneath the watchful eyes of his parents, his tiny hands reaching toward the world with endless curiosity. His small feet now press firmly against Nefru's lap as she sings to him in the mornings, simple songs her mother once sang to her. The house feels alive, as Hamed had once said, filled with the quiet hum of everyday life. The days settle into a gentle rhythm. In the mornings, Hamed rises early to work his clay. The wheel spins smoothly beneath his hands as he shapes jars, bowls, and vases, each one carrying his quiet devotion. Outside, the narrow streets fill with the soft chatter of merchants arranging their wares, woven baskets, shining copper, bundles of fresh herbs. The temple bells ring their low, familiar tones as priests begin the morning rituals beneath the tall stone columns. Nefru carries Amhos through the small market, his bright eyes wide as he watches the colorful stalls and the playful children darting between them. "Look, little one," she whispers, "the world is full of color."
He gurgles softly, grabbing at a dangling strand of beads as a smiling merchant shakes them in front of him. In the afternoons, when the sun hangs high and the streets grow quieter beneath the heavy warmth, they sit together beneath their simple canopy. The breeze carries the faint scent of baking bread and the distant hum of temple songs. Sometimes neighbors visit too, women bringing small gifts for Amhos, soft linen cloth, tiny carved charms, and once a woven toy bird that now swings gently from the doorway beam. The midwife stops by often too, her step slow, but her eyes still sharp. "He grows well," she says with a knowing smile, gently pressing her hand against the child's round belly. "Strong lungs, strong legs, like his father. And a curious spirit," Nefru adds softly, her fingers brushing through Amhos's thick, dark hair. At night, as the world cools and the stars open their soft eyes above, Hamet tells quiet stories to Amhos, who watches him wide-eyed as if understanding every word. He speaks of the Nile, of the gods who walk unseen through the fields, of the great pyramids that still stand far to the north, their stone faces watching over the land like silent sentinels. "The world is large, little one," Hamet whispered, "but your place in it will always be here among those who love you." Amhos's tiny hand wraps around Hamet's finger, holding tight, as if answering. The seasons continue to roll forward. The Nile rises once more, filling the fields with its rich black silt. The farmers return to their flooded lands, wading knee-deep through the water as they plant the seeds for the next harvest. In the temple, priests offer fresh lotus blossoms and sweet-smelling oils to the gods. The goddess Hathor, with her warm eyes and gentle smile, watches over them all. And in the small house near the riverbank, Nefru and Hamet's world remains simple, filled with laughter, quiet prayers, and the soft breath of their growing child. Now, as your eyes grow heavy, feel the steady comfort of this life, the rhythm of work and rest, of song and silence, of growth and gentle change. Sleep now, wrapped in the warmth of this ancient world. Tomorrow we return once more.
The warm days stretch on like a soft ribbon, each blending quietly into the next. The Nile breathes its endless rhythm, rising and falling with gentle patience. In the small home, Amos grows stronger each day. His legs, once soft and uncertain, now begin to push against the floor with growing confidence. His chubby arms reach out eagerly, grasping for balance. And then, one morning, beneath the open doorway, something new happens. Nefru watches him closely, her heart full. Kamet kneels nearby, hands open, smiling gently. "Come, little one," Kamet says softly, his voice light with encouragement. "One step, just one." Amos sways for a moment, his tiny feet planted firmly on the smooth stone floor. His wide eyes flicker between his mother and father, as if weighing the distance between them. Then, like a small miracle, his foot lifts. One wobbly step, then another. A squeal of delight escapes him as he topples forward into Kamet's waiting arms. "You did it!" Nefru laughs, clapping her hands softly. Kamet holds him close, his chest full with quiet pride. "Your first journey, Amos," he whispers. "Many more will follow." Later that afternoon, the news spread softly through the neighborhood. The neighbors stop by, smiling as they peek into the doorway to catch a glimpse of the boy who now walks. Menina arrives with a playful grin, handing Kamet a small carved wooden lion. "For the brave one," Menina says, "may his steps be strong like the lion's." The tiny toy is placed in Amos's small hands. He turns it over with wide-eyed fascination, his fingers tracing the smooth shape. "Strong but kind," Kamet adds softly, "like his mother." Nefru smiles quietly as she watches them, her two loves, side by side. As evening settles in, the family sits beneath their little canopy once again. The sun sinks behind the fields, turning the sky into soft layers of pink, gold, and violet. The air is warm, but the breeze carries a cool breath from the river. Nefru hums a gentle tune as she cradles Amos in her arms. His tiny eyelids grow heavy, his breathing softens. "Look how the stars arrive," Kamet says quietly, pointing upward. Nefru lifts her gaze. The first stars flicker gently into view, as if carefully stitched one by one into the darkening sky. "They never rush," she whispers, "always patient, like the river." Kamet nods. "Like life itself." The temple bells chime in the distance, their song low and steady, mixing with the soft chorus of frogs singing near the marshes. In this small corner of the world, time folds gently around them. A quiet family beneath an ancient sky, wrapped in warmth, balance, and peace. And now, as your own breathing slows, feel the comfort of first steps taken, of hands held gently, of stars blinking patiently overhead. Sleep peacefully now, and tomorrow we will return again to continue their journey. The morning breaks softly, like a slow breath rising from the earth. Mist drifts lazily above the Nile, curling like delicate fingers reaching into the pale blue sky. The air is cool, carrying the scent of wet reeds and fresh earth. Inside their little home, Nefru rises first. She moves quietly, careful not to wake Amos, still curled in peaceful sleep beside her. The child's chest rises and falls in steady rhythm, his tiny hand resting softly on his round cheek. She stands at the open doorway for a moment, watching the thin streaks of sunlight begin to stretch across the fields. The water has retreated now, leaving behind rich dark silt where farmers have already begun planting the next harvest. Life moves forward, but it never rushes. Everything here understands the rhythm of waiting. By midday, the city hums gently to life. The market fills with soft voices, merchants laying out their goods beneath woven canopies. The bright colors of baskets, dried spices, and rows of shiny copper catching the light. Nefru walks through the market, holding Amos's small hand as he toddles along beside her. His steps are still short and careful, but each one stronger than the last. They stop at a fruit stall, where wide baskets overflow with pomegranates, figs, and clusters of grapes. The merchant smiles, bending down to offer a small fig to Amos, who takes it shyly, his dark eyes wide with wonder. "He'll be tall like his father," the merchant says, glancing up at Nefru with a kind smile. "Or strong like his mother," Nefru replies gently, her voice soft but full of pride. They continue slowly through the narrow streets, passing neighbors who nod greetings and whisper small blessings for the child. The people here share in each other's joys, just as they share the water of the Nile. Later that afternoon, Kamet returns from the kiln, his arms strong from carrying the freshly fired pots. The heat still clings to his skin, but his face glows with quiet satisfaction. The new pieces stand in neat rows, smooth, polished, each one shaped with careful hands. Some will carry oil, others grain, and some, perhaps, will travel far down the river to the southern markets. Amos waddles toward him as Kamet kneels and opens his arms wide. "Come to me, little one," he whispers with a smile. The boy tumbles forward into his father's embrace, his laughter soft and bright like tiny bells. "You grow faster than I can shape clay," Kamet laughs, lifting him high into the warm air. Nefru watches them from the doorway, her hands resting lightly over her growing belly. The second child, still small inside her, is growing now too. The quiet rhythm of life continues, always moving, always full. That evening, as the sun lowers behind the western dunes, they walk together down to the riverbank. The Nile glows like liquid gold beneath the fading light. Birds drift lazily across the sky, their dark shapes gliding quietly as the world softens into dusk. They sit in the cool sand, Amos between them, his little hands scooping at the wet earth with quiet fascination. "The river speaks tonight," Kamet says softly. Nefru listens. The gentle waves lap at the shore, a soft rhythm of sound that seems to echo the very pulse of life itself. It always speaks. We just learn to listen better. The breeze carries the distant hum of temple prayers, soft voices rising beneath the great stone columns where the gods still stand, watching. For a long while, they sit quietly, watching the sky shift from soft pink to deep violet. The stars begin to pierce the darkening canvas, one by one, like tiny lanterns carefully lit by invisible hands. Amos leans against his mother's arm, his eyelids growing heavy, lulled by the steady voice of the water and the soft murmur of his parents' voices. Comet wraps his arm gently around Nefru, resting his cheek against her hair. Our children will always know this place, the river, the sky, the warmth of home. And the love that holds them, Nefru adds, her voice nearly a breath. The world folds gently around them, like a soft blanket drawn across the night. And now, as your own breath slows, feel the steady heartbeat of this ancient land, the warmth of family, the voice of the Nile, the quiet stars.
The seasons turn slowly. The days grow longer, and the sun rests higher in the sky. The fields surrounding Waset glow green and full, rows of barley swaying like a great living sea beneath the warm breath of the desert breeze. Amos, now steadier on his feet, runs through the narrow courtyard with short but confident strides. His laughter carries up into the bright morning air, joining the low hum of merchants and workers filling the streets with their daily rhythm. Inside the home, Nefru sits weaving fine linen, her fingers moving smoothly along the tight threads. Her belly swells gently once again, the second child quietly growing within her. She watches Amos as he plays nearby, his little fingers poking curiously at a small pile of clay scraps Comet had left behind from the morning's work. "You have your father's hands," she whispers, smiling softly. Later that day, as the heat eases into a gentler warmth, Comet brings Amos to the sycamore tree by the river's edge, the same tree beneath which they had once named him. The wide branches offer cool shade, and beneath them, the world seems to breathe a little slower. Comet sits cross-legged in the sand, while Amos wiggles beside him, eyes wide with curiosity. "Come," Comet says, holding out a smooth, flat piece of clay. "Let's make something together." With small, clumsy fingers, Amos presses his hands into the wet clay. The shape is rough, but Comet smiles, guiding his little hands gently. "You see," he says softly, "the clay listens when we are patient." Amos giggles, watching the soft material shift beneath his touch. Comet leans in closer, speaking as if sharing a secret. "Everything in life is like this, little one. The river, the earth, even the people around you. If you listen, truly listen, they will tell you how to shape them. But never force, always feel." The boy nods, though his understanding is still childlike. Yet something in his quiet gaze suggests the seed of wisdom has already been planted. The afternoon drifts on in quiet ease. A gentle breeze carries the scent of fresh lotus blossoms, opening on the slow-moving water. From the distant temple, the faint sound of flutes rises into the sky, mixing with the soft drone of bees moving lazily from bloom to bloom. Everything moves slowly here, not frozen, but careful, balanced. The gods, high above in their tall stone temples, watch silently,
as they have for countless generations. As the sun begins its long descent, Nefru joins them beneath the tree. Lowering herself carefully onto the cool sand, she watches the two of them, her heart full. "Your work is getting better," she teases gently, watching Amos's tiny clay figure take shape. "Master craftsman," Comet agrees, grinning. Amos holds up his little creation, a wobbly form, barely resembling a bird, but perfect in its simplicity. Nefru leans in and kisses his forehead. "It flies already," she whispers. They sit together in the fading light, the sky slowly folding into soft shades of lavender and rose. That night, beneath the open sky, Nefru lies beside Comet as Amos sleeps peacefully between them. The warm breeze moves through the doorway, bringing the faint scent of burning incense from the temple. Comet. The moon hangs low, glowing softly above Waset as the world sleeps under its pale light. The Nile glistens, silver and calm, its breath moving slowly across the land. Inside their small home, another long night begins, but this one feels different. Nefru breathes deeply, her hands resting firmly on her rounded belly. The time has come again. Comet sits close, his hand gripping hers gently, his voice steady. "You are strong," he whispers, "like before, like always." She nods, her brow damp, but her eyes calm. The midwife has already arrived, moving through the familiar space with quiet confidence. Her basket of herbs rests by the bed. Small clay jars filled with soothing oils lined neatly beside it. The air carries the soft scent of burning myrrh. The flickering oil lamps cast warm waves of light along the walls, their glow steady against the soft rhythm of Nefru's breathing. Outside, Amsos sleeps peacefully with neighbors, his tiny body wrapped snug in warm linen. The city rests, unaware of the quiet miracle unfolding behind these walls. But here, inside, the world shrinks again, back to this small, sacred space where life prepares to bloom once more. The hours move like the river, slow at times, then suddenly faster. The midwife leans close, her voice calm. "Your child is eager again, Nefru." Nefru squeezes Comet's hand as another wave of pain rolls through her, but her breathing remains steady. She remembers the rhythm, the patience. The goddess Hathor feels close, watching, guiding her once more. "You're doing well," Comet whispers again, brushing a damp strand of hair from her face. The warmth of the lamps, the soft chanting from the distant temple, the cool night breeze slipping through the open doorway, all blend together into a quiet, protective cocoon. And then, like the slow opening of a lotus bloom, a new sound fills the room. Small, sharp, full of life. A newborn cry pierces the quiet night. The midwife smiles as she gently lifts the tiny child, swaddled quickly in soft linen. "A daughter," she whispers, "strong like her mother." Nefru reaches out, her arms trembling but filled with joy. Comet leans close, tears shining in his eyes as they both gaze upon their new child. Tiny hands wave softly in the air, her lips pursed as she searches for her mother's warmth. Her dark hair shines in the lamplight, fine and soft. "Welcome, little one," Nefru whispers, her voice barely more than breath. Comet's hand rests over them both, his chest full, as if his heart cannot hold all it feels. "We are four now," he whispers. "Our circle grows." The midwife quietly steps back, letting them sink into the quiet moment. The lamps flicker gently as the child settles into Nefru's arms, her cries softening into small, contented murmurs. The world outside continues its quiet hum, frogs singing along the Nile, distant night birds calling from the reeds, the low thrum of temple prayers rising like smoke into the stars. But inside this home, everything is still, whole, full. And as your breath softens, feel the warmth of this new arrival, the hush of the ancient world, the patient river, the watchful gods. Another life joins the quiet rhythm. Sleep peacefully now. Tomorrow we return to walk beside them once again. The first light of morning spills softly through the doorway, painting golden stripes across the smooth stone floor. Nefru lies resting, her newborn daughter swaddled warmly against her chest. The little one sleeps, her breath light as feathers, her tiny fingers curled into fists. Beside them, Comet sits silently, his hand resting lightly on both of them. He watches the rise and fall of the baby's breath, as if memorizing the rhythm. Outside, the city awakens slowly. Gentle voices carry through the air. Neighbors beginning their morning work. Merchants setting out baskets of fresh fruit. Farmers guiding donkeys toward the waiting fields. But inside this little home, time remains soft and slow. Amose returns home soon after, his small feet running into the open doorway, his face bright with wonder. Nefru lifts her head and smiles. "Come, my little one." He hurries to her side, eyes wide as he peers at the tiny bundle in her arms. "Is this my sister?" he whispers. Comet smiles, lifting Amose gently onto the bed beside them. "Yes," he says softly. "Your sister." Amose leans closer, studying the tiny face. The baby stirs, opening her dark eyes for just a moment. Brother and sister meet for the first time under the soft morning light. "She's very small," Amose says in awe. Nefru laughs softly. "So were you once." Later that day, neighbors visit quietly, bringing small gifts for the new child. Fresh honey cakes, small charms tied with thin reeds, and tiny beads carved from bright turquoise. The priestess from the temple arrives as well, her soft linen robe flowing like water,
as she steps into the home. She bows gently, her eyes warm. The goddess Hathor smiles upon this house once again, she says softly. Kemet and Nefru bow their heads in respect. The priestess lays a small offering beside the child. A carved ivory amulet of Taweret, protector of mothers and children. May she grow strong beneath watchful eyes, the priestess whispers, and may your house continue to bloom. In the evening, as the sky turns soft shades of pink and violet, the family gathers once more beneath their small canopy. The Nile glows beneath the setting sun, the wide surface shining like polished gold. The warm breeze carries the scent of lotus flowers drifting lazily upon the river. Amose sits between his parents, watching as his sister sleeps quietly in Nefru's arms. Kemet wraps his arm gently around Nefru's shoulders. His voice is low and full of quiet wonder. Two children beneath the same stars. Two lights in our home. Nefru leans her head against him, her voice barely more than breath. And the stars watch over them both. They sit together in silence, the world around them humming its ancient song. The frogs sing softly in the marshes. The reeds sway in rhythm with the breeze. And the temple bells chime quietly in the distance. Above, the stars bloom, one by one.
The days grow longer once more. The hot breath of summer returns to Waset, warming the narrow streets, stirring the leaves of the tall palms, and filling the air with the sweet, thick scent of ripening figs and blooming flowers. Amos grows quickly now. His legs are strong, his steps sure. He helps his father carry small clay bowls to the market, proudly walking beside him, his chest full of quiet importance. Beside him, his little sister watches from her mother's arms, wide-eyed as the world passes by. The bright colors of the merchants' stalls, the playful calls of children running barefoot between the baskets of grain, the golden glint of jewelry under the harsh sun. Her name, given quietly beneath the same sycamore where her brother's name was once spoken, is Iset, after the great goddess who guards and heals, who loves fiercely and protects her children. At home, the rhythm continues. Kemet shapes his pots beneath the shade of the fig tree, his hands moving with the same steady grace as always. Amos plays nearby, sometimes mimicking his father, pressing his small hands into balls of soft clay, creating lopsided little jars and wobbly birds. Your work improves, little craftsman, Kemet teases gently. Amos grins. One day, my pots will be better than yours. Kemet laughs. That is exactly what every father hopes to hear. Inside, Nefru sings softly as she weaves, simple melodies that flow like the river itself. Iset sleeps peacefully against her chest, her tiny fingers curled around the thin threads of linen. The house breathes gently. The air is warm but full of life. As the sun lowers each evening, painting the sky with wide strokes of orange and violet, the family gathers beneath their small canopy by the river's edge. They sit close.
Years have passed. The children have grown. The once tiny steps of Amos now stride with the confidence of youth. His hands, still young but steady, work beside Comet at the wheel. The wet clay spins under his fingers, forming smooth shapes that hold the first signs of true craftsmanship. You see, Comet smiles, guiding his son's hands gently. The clay listens to you now. Amos grins, eyes bright beneath the warm afternoon light. "It does," he whispers, "like you always said." Nearby, under the shade of the fig tree, Iset sits beside Nefru, weaving tiny strands of colored beads into simple bracelets. Her fingers are nimble, her laughter light as the breeze. "Will we sell these in the market, Mama?" she asks. Nefru smiles softly, her fingers brushing through her daughter's dark hair. "If we don't keep them all for ourselves," she teases gently. They both laugh, the sound mixing with the hum of life all around them. Distant voices from the market, the quiet splash of oars far down the Nile, the low murmur of priests singing prayers in the temple halls. That evening, the family gathers once again by the river's edge, as they always have. The sun lowers behind the wide fields, setting the sky ablaze with color. The reeds sway softly in the warm breeze, and the soft voices of frogs rise from the marshes, singing their endless nighttime chorus. Comet wraps his arm around Nefru as they watch their children play in the cool sand. The temple bells ring in the distance, calling the final prayers of the day. "So much has changed," he whispers, "and yet it all feels the same." Nefru leans into him, her voice calm and steady. "Because the rhythm never stops. The river flows, the earth breathes, we follow." He nods, looking up as the stars begin to pierce the violet sky. "And one day," she adds softly, "our children will sit here too, with their own children, beneath the same stars, beside the same river." Comet smiles, his voice a gentle breath, and the gods will still be watching. Above them, the constellations unfold like old stories written across the heavens. The Nile glistens below, its dark surface reflecting the endless sky. The gods remain silent but steady, guardians of this world, keepers of its balance. Hathor, Isis, Osiris, Taweret, patient, timeless, always near. And the river hums on, carrying the story forward, as it has for countless generations. And now, as your breath slows, feel the fullness of this world settle around you. A life lived gently, beneath ancient skies, wrapped in love, patience, and peace. The river flows, the stars shine, and all is well. Sleep deeply now, knowing this world continues, timeless and calm.